Is another altcoin breakout quietly in the making? When the environment seems to be quite boring, it's the busiest time for the big money. So let's look through the Wyckoff lens and into these 5 coins I have prepared for this video and see what actually is happening to them and are they building up for a price climb. So if you're new to my sessions, these are the 3 key items I'll cover. I'll first look through the Wyckoff stages of the coins that I've selected, and then obviously talk about their key levels in terms of resistance or support. And eventually we'll get to their daily time frame to look at any breakout timing that the charts are indicating to us. So let's start with Algo. So after Algo, we'll have AVAX, Polkadot, Polygon, and SHIB. Here, their charts are very similar. Basically, all of them are at a point or at a level lower than their selling climax. For Algo, currently it's at around 13 cents 50. No, it's not somewhere, it's almost exactly between the 2 key levels, 10 cents and 16 cents. So it's effectively those 2 will be the support and resistance. And if we look to the past, not very long in history, both in August and November 2024, the price came to around or very close to the red key level of 10 cents, okay, during that accumulation. So this time, while the selling climax ended up much higher at 16 cents compared to the 11 cents 50 back in 2024, there's still a chance for this to come down to challenge the 10 cents level. Not that we hope to see it that way. And the volume, for 2 weeks, it has declined to quite a low level. So let's hope this test is about to finish and that it's going to go back to show us a sign of strength. When that happens, it best at least challenge the light blue key level of 29 cents, even better to 32 cents, the blue key level. That's where the sign of attention is coming back. Okay. However, do remember there can be a spring, meaning even after a sign of strength appears, it may not transit immediately to a level where the whales will do their last bit of buying before they push the price up. There can still be a track back to the lower level. If you look to the left, looking at not this one, it's actually around here. So after the sign of strength, it pops up a little. That can be another one. Just that it trades back to near the red, and then it bounces. It kind of similar. You see a lot of these patterns. It kind of go up a little. This one was pretty weak actually. There wasn't really a clear sign of strength. So be careful if you're getting now that there's still downside risk. But nobody or very few people will be able to catch the bottom. So as long as you have calculated your risk appetite and understand what risk you're taking, that's fine. And remember, I am not a financial advisor. I'm sharing my own views only and my own observation from the charts. So if you're trying to invest, always consult a licensed professional in your jurisdiction. So back to the chart here. After talking about algorithms, let's move to AVAX. From a big picture point of view, I already said, it looks very similar. The tests are still continuing. It seems to be, flattening around the blue key level of $12.20. All right. The weekend diamond hands test continues. So this view doesn't change. We hope to see a sign of strength for AVAX. It's going to be somewhere between the the yellow key level of $29.30 to $33.90. Okay, that's where the earlier sign of strength around mid-September tested. Okay, and then Polkadot. This is even more disappointing for some people because it has reached a level that we can only find reference back in 2020. Okay, it was it's definitely digging deeper than the other examples that I just covered. So this paper hands diamond hands test applies to all 5 that I'm covering in this session, and the test basically is the same. Higher percentage continuing while we're waiting for the sign of strength to come. There's no sign of strength happened for Polkadot yet, compared to AVAX and Algo. You remember, there's sign of strength over there. There's one over there in July. For Polkadot, there's nothing in July. It climbed a little, but not to the level of the automatic rally at 5.2, the orange key level. Okay, so we want to see that happen. It was close enough back in mid-September. It reached a point very close to $5, but the volume isn't supporting. Okay, so we want to see something like the first week of or second week of November, this long bar over here, but a challenge towards the 5.2 key level. That's what we hope to see. That's the sign of strength we want to see. And for Polygon, again, there was sign of strength, and we want to see another one to challenge the 28 cents level, again with higher volume. The volume over the past couple of weeks for Polygon, that wasn't good, basically. It was high volume combined with lower price. But when we get to these 2 weeks, things seems to change a little, because even though the volume still remains a little bit high, there's clearly a little bit of support from the bottom when it challenged the 11 cents 50 level. There's nothing we can see from this chart over here, unfortunately, because Polygon has basically changed its call sign. So from Matic to POL. So if you want to see the history, that's where we got these yellow dashed lines from. Okay, this 0.095 is actually a level that 5 years ago. Again, same thing, weak hands, diamond hands test. If there's nobody going to sell, the big guys, the whales said, okay, sufficient test has been done. Be careful though. Sufficient test to the downside has been done doesn't mean the tests are over. Okay, the tests can still continue. In a way, much like what happened over the past half a year since April. Alright, it dropped to this level. It comes up to show us a sign of strength. They can put it back down again. So don't think coming up here or trading a little bit sideways along the yellow key level at 0.28 is very safe. That's why I always share with the community here. Always set a stop loss, even if it's climbing from this point. Alright, we never know how many tests the guys that has control want to do. Alright, because every round of tests they can make money, so it doesn't matter to them. They can continue to test until they are satisfied. Alright, or until there are sufficient people FOMOing in and they think it's time to push it to another distribution. And for SHIB, after SHIB, we will go to the daily charts for these 5 coins and look at potential breakout timing. SHIB looks a little bit better in a way that it's got a little bit of white after 4 weeks of red. However, these wicks from the top, when it challenges the blue key level of 89, okay, I'm skipping the 5 zeros, 2 consecutive weeks, the price has been pushed down back to this yellow dash line. What's this dash line? At around 84? That's extended from, the period, the accumulation period back in 2003, or since 2002. That's where some of the candlesticks found support and resistance. Alright? So that's how we get this intermediate level, and it seems like it's still having its effect. No, not that it's stopping the test, it's just that in terms of closing price, it's clearly showing its effect on it still. Okay, the weaker hands, diamond hands, or paper hand, diamond hands test, and has continue. There's no doubt. Again, we hope it quickly comes back. For the case of SHIB, it's going to be 154 level that we hope to see for the sign of strength, with higher volume. These two were not bad. We want to see better. Okay, that 154 yellow key level. This is for the very first step for SHIB before getting back to the next distribution. Alright, now let's get to the daily chart and see any potential breakout timing. Here, for Algo, the price, good side is trading on the stronger side of this air hockey table. Okay, the price bounces like the puck in the air hockey, and now it's trading sideways between these two yellow levels. So from almost 13 cents to 14 cents 80. So these two lines, one is the support line during the spring and selling climax, not very far. It's April and June this year. Okay, the other line is from the accumulation back in 2024. Okay, right now it's trading sideways between these two levels. Tests will continue. We have seen these multiple tests already. We'll keep testing to the south. The volume has been declining, so except the day where it came down to test this 13 cents level. Other than that, it's been staying low. If it continues like this, trading sideways between these two yellow lines, it will get closer to this triangle corner. It's pointing near December 29th or 30th. Just put it or treat it as the end of the year. Okay, that's the first breakout opportunity. Of course, there's still a couple of days for it to boost up to this triangle here that points to December 14th. Not likely. Just saying there's a chance. However, if you say no, it hasn't finished dropping yet, it's probably going to get to the 2024 summer accumulation level. If that's the case, the red key level of around 10 cents crosses this downward channel and pointing to 21st of January. Meaning, if it really comes down and finds support trade sideways, about the second, third week of January, there's the opportunity to break out of this downtrend and eventually confirm the downtrend that lasted for half a year has finished. It's been a long journey downwards. Half a year isn't too short of a time, right? Now AVAX, what happens to AVAX? Here, it seems to be breaking outside of the downtrend. Alright, if it really has bottomed out over here and showed automatic rally already, this second test that happened just 4 days ago. Remember, these tags in these Wyckoff stages in the daily chart are experimental. Okay, Wyckoff didn't design for the daily time frame. It's for more or longer time frame, like what I just showed in the beginning for the weekly. Here, if this really is over, okay, that's the first good sign. Not saying it can't come down, because sometimes it breaks out just to start another downtrend. Okay, just taking a breath. Let's treat it like that. However, if it is not the case, if it really is changing trend, and this is really the selling climax and automatic rally, even though we know there can be deeper tests, let's say below the blue key level of $12.14. Okay, there can be deeper tests over there or below there. Come down to challenge the solid white line of around $10.30. That's okay. Right? Just that the horizontal trading range seems to be between the $12.20, the blue key level, and the red key level of $15.80. Assuming this is really where the major accumulation is going to happen. Okay, so not a surprise for it to come down to test this white line, but more importantly, we want to see it trade sideways between the red and the blue. So if it doesn't come back into the box, into the channel, we don't really have to look at potential breakout timing until the point that it exhibit certain sign of strength behavior. Then we know that's not far from getting into potentially the next distribution. Next, polka dot. Some positive sign. December 2nd, December 3rd, again, very similar. It looks like it broke outside of the previous steep declining trend. However, for this case, I do need to check because there's so few reference points for polka dot that this may just be a slight change of course during the downward movement. So immediately you see after I adjusted a little, the trajectory or the rate of decline has improved. So it isn't dropping as steeply as before, but it can still be within this downtrend. However, the positive side is that it's on the stronger side of the downtrend. The test, let's borrow this. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a spring, because it can trade sideways with more tests and then suddenly get a very deep dip to maybe 1.52 level or even 96 cents level, and then quickly rebound. That we consider a spring. Right now it's not. Okay, so the tests are going to continue. We hope to see a sign of strength coming, challenging the top or the ceiling of the long-term playground zone at around $3.40. Okay, there are a couple of levels in between. The 2.28, the $3. It doesn't matter. When it comes back, it certainly will pass those. But then when it gets to this white solid line at around $3.40, or it can go a bit higher to challenge the $4 key level, the purple key level, it may come back from that sign of strength. Okay, so look at what happened over here. It basically basically have these sort of, well, that may not be a good example because I was elaborating there may be two scenarios that happened over there. That can be a very quick accumulation that exhibited just two tests and then quickly shoot up to another distribution. This is more a better, cleaner example. There were two sign of strength that went above the automatic rally over here. Okay, and eventually it still came down for more tests. And this backup last point of support period. It tracked back down and then eventually shoot to the new distribution. Okay, it's difficult in both sense that the method isn't designed for daily, and also when I put in the text, sometimes if I shrink it, I move the tag around, and then when I enlarge it, the tags are all over the place, so I have to move them again. Alright, so that's what I'm trying to tell here. It may not be over yet, it can still dig deeper, but let's hope this is very near the very end of the accumulation. So even though if there are more paper hands, diamond hands tests, is not too far from showing us a sign of strength and eventually a new distribution cycle. Now let's move to Polygon. Polygon again is trading on the better side or stronger side of the downtrend. So the price is currently still moving along this downward trend towards the 0.095 level. This was a level that I said we don't want to see. It's actually Again, borrowed from 4 or 5 years ago. You can go check the MATEC chart and see, exactly what time it has come from. Because if we look at here, for Polygon, we probably can't see it. So let me show you quickly. I think this one should be good enough. Yeah. So those yellow lines, you see 2021, where there were a bunch of candlesticks, either have their head or tails over those levels. So that's where this yellow line came from, yellow dashed line came from. So here for Polygon, the interesting part is that not only because it dropped to a level that we haven't seen in almost 5 years, right now it seems it still hasn't get to the selling climax. Because look at these kind of fluctuating volumes. It's still seeking to a lower point. So we did cover this, as that it's still going through those tests. So the selling climax in the weekly has appeared. It's just that the shakeout is still continuing until that point that we see sign of strengths, and especially in the weekly chart. Best it comes back to a level that's around somewhere around this yellow key level of 28 cents, which is pretty high, at least 2 key levels in between before the price here can reach it. Potential breakout from the downtrend that's pointing towards December 28th. Okay, if it continues to trade along this triangle, that's where it's heading to. However, currently there seems to be a flat bottom over here. So if that's the case, if this is really, the shakeout is really over at around this point, no more paper hands are willing to sell. It's pointing towards 15th of December. All right, let's see next week when we come back. Has the breakout happened, or is it getting very close to the tip and waiting for that point to happen? Okay, it can continue to trade sideways before it shoots up. Finally, SHIB. Good sign, again, that it travels to the stronger side of the downtrend. And currently being suppressed under this yellow dash line of 838. Okay, this is a level where the selling climax was back in beginning of November. It was also where very close to the October 10th, the tariff announcement date tested. Okay, if we go further to the left, we see there were some price actions that found support or resistance as well. So this is not a level that's very weak. It actually has pretty good reference. After the selling climax and subsequent tests, we assume that was the automatic rally. So this is the point that I may need some adjustment, because for a couple of others, I look at this period after the tariff announcement. The entire period was actually preliminary support. But for SHIB, I do have a bit of a question when looking at the chart, because the volume after this, we saw some lower days, and then this spike over here, it may well be the start of the automatic rally. You see this wick from the bottom. That means people buying from this level of this yellow dash line. That's why I'm treating SHIB a little bit different from a couple of other altcoins post October 10th. If that really is the case, and we have gone through the second test, and obviously other tests happened just 3 days back, we haven't yet seen the automatic rally level being challenged. So if a sign of strength comes in, it better passes the blue key level of 89 and go challenge to 102. Okay, that's assuming my assumption of this being the selling climax is correct. obviously you can say, hey, why not here? That's also possible because this is a horizontal range that's being set up, but my feeling points to this side more. So let's see how it evolves. For the short term, irrespective of whether these tags are correct in terms of the daily time frame, because we are experimenting them, right? This horizontal trend is, basically there. We see this W shape. These two lines, the blue and the light blue line, are still having their effect until the point when it gets closer to these potential breakout timing. The December, around Christmas time basically, and then eventually Jan 4th or 5th. Okay, so if this sideways trading continues, whether it's going to stay up here or it's coming down, those 2 dates are the potential confirmation that we can get that this downtrend is finally getting into another new trend. Okay, I won't be able to tell whether it's going to be trading horizontal for a prolonged period of time, or is it going to trade sideways for a bit and then goes down again. We will see eventually. And remember, there's always this risk of a spring coming to challenge the white line level at around 685, 686. That's where the October 2003 tested. Okay, that we hope we won't get back to that stage, but I have to let you know there's a possibility.